Brandon Aiyuk is the news of the day. I think it's really interesting how we'll get into it, but first of all, the Niners keep changing their story. The original story was Brandon Aiyuk isn't playing, but he's not in the doghouse. It's just, it was just that game. It's just how it unfolded week one. And Kyle Shanahan made a point to do a one-on-one interview with Matt Mayoko and say he's not in the doghouse. And, 5 weeks later, it's clear that he is. And John Lynch went on the radio today and said, well, he just hasn't made the strides we expected. So that's at least the truth. That's how they feel. It's interesting that they couldn't get their story straight, which has been a theme of the entire year. But what do you think of John Lynch saying that?
It's crazy, Grant, because I feel like, or we have talked about how we feel like there might be some separation happening, the front office down to Shanahan, between Lynch and Shanahan, and maybe they're going to scapegoat each other if it comes down to it at the end of the season. But for him, and when I say him, John Lynch, to come out and say that almost tells me that he and Shanahan are probably more lockstep than what they may have ever been, right? Like, he's got Shanahan's back on this. And the other thing that's frustrating, though, is I just feel like you praise in public and you chastise in private. And I feel like this organization does the opposite of that all the time. And I don't know about you, but it's not motivating for me if I'm a player of yours or an employee of yours, if you're constantly calling out the things that I do bad out in the public for everybody to see and airing that out. I just don't know what the toll that takes on somebody like Brandon Aiyuk, who's in year 2, and we'll talk about Trey Lance obviously later. Just the way that they talk about these players may not be how they feel about them, but the way that they portray that they feel about them is not good sometimes. And I just think that would be demoralizing if I'm a player, especially a young player.
Yeah, absolutely. They talk about them like they're like Kyle and John have won multiple Super Bowls, and they can take a hard line, and they can make an example out of a first round pick just because that's the culture they're trying to set. You haven't won multiple Super Bowls. What all you're doing is hurting yourself, losing games you shouldn't lose because you're not playing your best players, and then essentially not developing young players that new coaches will come in and want and be like, well, why weren't you using Brandon? You were throwing passes to Travis Benjamin and Mohamed Sanu, so you couldn't. And so now I have arrested development here. Now I have to jumpstart them. Probably. Well, what were you thinking? So that to me is the problem here. The fact that they're acting like they're some championship level team with super high standards. No. You guys are on the hot seat, and you need Brandon Aiyuk to help you stay employed. And continuing to throw passes to Mohamed Sanu is just going to get you fired quicker. What are you doing? Why are you not acting in self-interest?
And not only that, but you need him to help your young quarterback develop in his first start.
Thank you.
You've got Kittle, who was already out.
Sanu and Benjamin.
Right. What? So it was Sherfield, right? That was the first one. Then it's been Sanu, and then Benjamin is getting that much run to start a game. It doesn't make any sense.
I just look at the numbers. One thing I like to look at is quarterback rating when targeted, because I know it's not perfect, but it kind of gives you an idea of are good things or bad things happening when targeting you. And Brandon Aiyuk, 93 point something. So, I mean, not great, but decent.
Good enough.
Mohamed Sanu, 79, not good. Travis Benjamin, 0. So look, they can say that. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. I know what they're talking about when they talk about Aiyuk. I kind of noticed it in camp too. When he was a rookie, he created easy separation. He really looked like a stud. This year in camp, when he made catches, they were mostly contested. I know what they're talking about, and I understand where they're trying to get the old Aiyuk back. That being said, he's still better than Sanu. He's still better than Benjamin. Trying to take this hard line is costing you wins, and it's hurting everyone else. So I think what needs to happen with Aiyuk is maybe he got a little too muscled up in the offseason. Maybe he changed his body a little too much and lost a little quickness or explosion. That's an offseason thing. You work on that in the offseason. You got to deal with what you have now. And I don't know. They're trying to make it seem like he's dogging it. Like he's not running his routes as hard as, man. I don't know if it's that, but whatever. 80% motivated Brandon Aiyuk is still better than Mohamed Sanu. So stop hurting yours. You're what do they say? Cutting off your nose to spite your face is what they're doing.
Spite your face,
That's what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the other thing too, right? Like as as somebody that has employees that work for them, I never think to myself like, man, this guy's not doing good today because he just came to work and tried to suck. Like that never crosses my mind, but that's the way that they're acting. It's as if Aiyuk came in and tried not to be good. There's actually a stat that came out, and I don't know if you saw it, but Brandon Aiyuk average yards of separation this year is, I believe, 1.7, and last year it was 2.8.
That's what I'm talking about. I did notice that in camp, and I have to say that when he's making catches this year, they're usually contested catches. Yo, he's still catching the ball. I understand that there's like another level he can get to, and you're trying to get him there, but don't get fired in the process. Don't get fired because you were playing Travis Benjamin over him. I was watching the tape today, and there are plays where, Lance is throwing to Benjamin, and you're thinking, like, what if it was just Aiyuk in there? What if it was Aiyuk? What is this? It's not in the best interest of the franchise. And John and Kyle need to really take a good look at what they're doing. I think they think they're doing the right thing, but they're not acting in self-interest here.
No, they're definitely not. And not only is it not helping them by not playing them and going to them in the games, but this was a guy you just traded up for a year ago. How bad does that make you look if he doesn't pan out? Like, if I hire somebody, I always tell them, I say, my vested interest is in you succeeding, because if you don't succeed, I feel like I failed. And that's the approach that I feel like any leader should take. And that's the exact opposite approach that it seems like Shanahan and John Lynch are taking with this situation. It's just an interesting one.
Yeah. So, here's the last thing I want to say. When I saw that quote from Lynch, it just seemed tone deaf. Like, Kyle's tone deaf every day, but Lynch, and I roasted him today on Twitter. He said Brandon Aiyuk hasn't made the strides they were expecting. I was like, dude, have some awareness. What about you? What about you? Remember in Breakfast Club?
Ben, yeah.
What about you, Dad? What about you? I haven't made the strides. What about you, John? How's your track record? If Brandon Aiyuk doesn't work out, that's on you. You traded up for him. That was your first-round pick. You drafted Solomon Thomas. You drafted Reuben Foster. So all I said was, neither of you, John. And 1,000 people like the tweet. I don't think John and Kyle realize how unpopular they are right now. And doing this with Brandon Aiyuk, Belichick could do it. Sean Payton can do it. You can't.
Absolutely.
I put out a tweet today, a poll. Who's better at their job, Brandon Aiyuk or John Lynch? 85% of people said Brandon Aiyuk, and that's the right answer. So, John, read the room.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Gosh. Yeah, I didn't see that tweet. That's a really good tweet, and it's so true. It's so true.
Read the freaking room. Real quick, our defense seems fine. Can we trade somebody for Brandon Cooks? Help that O-line a little too? I think this team's problems are coaching. Like, people say, Kyle keeps saying we could easily be 5-0. Yeah, why aren't you, Kyle? Because of you. And my comeback to that is, well, you could easily be 0-5. Mm-hmm. And why is that? Because of you. Yep. You made those games interesting the first 2 weeks. They never should have been interesting. You made them interesting. So
let's just look at the Trey Lance. Let's just look at the very first series. That tells you all you need to know. They threw the ball 3 straight times with Trey Lance in his first game and went empty set the first 2 plays of the game. Hello? What are you doing? This is a rookie quarterback.
They used him like he was Tim Tebow. It was just disgusting. Salah Safadi says, I agree. I disagree with Jesse sometimes, but he's a thoughtful and detailed analyst and writer. Easy sub. Sorry you got wrong like that, my guy. If you just tuned in,
thank you,
subscribe to Jesse's channel. Boom, it's in the chat. Shivnur says, I know this is off topic, but I took my LSAT yesterday. Would appreciate y'all's positive vibes. Also, Kyle stinks right now. Good luck. Shivnur, from my experience, don't do the SAT. I never got better at the SAT. Do the ACT. I took my score from a 29 to a 33. And I could never improve on the SAT. So that was 15 years ago, but that's my little life hack. ACT. They take that. They take that too. Just saying.